As far back as YouTube, I always wanted to make a Godfather video. Wait a minute. It's not that I cannot make a video. And it's not like The Godfather hasn't grown from being merely popular, but is now a legend in our culture. Even people who have never seen the iconic crime saga are already familiar with references, quotes, and whole scenes from the films.
Just when they thought I was out, they pull me back in.
Don Homer, I have baked a special donut just for you.
Grazie.
What exactly are you offering to do for me?
What did Tom Hagen do for Vito Corleone?
I'm no Vito Corleone.
No, right now you're Fredo.
Is it your wish that this child be baptized?
It is.
Don't ever go against the family, Jerry.
Godfather.
Godfather.
Yes.
So the real challenge is not to make yet another video. It is to make something with a truly original take. Before we go on, please like the video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also become a proud supporter via buymeacoffee.com. I'll be so happy to give you a shout out in future videos and on social media. Thank you. Oh yeah, and spoilers ahead for those who haven't watched the films. Of the three Godfather films directed by Francis Ford Coppola, the last one, released in 1990, is usually regarded as the weakest, and frankly I must agree. That doesn't mean that The Godfather Part III, or its recent new version, The Godfather Coda, The Death of Michael Corleone, is without merit. It posits the intriguing scenario of organized crime merging into more legitimate businesses. It also shows women's roles expanding in a changing society. And of course it asks the supreme thematic question of whether a man can find spiritual redemption, or at least true healing, after a lifetime of evil. All of this is fertile ground for a really knockout finale to a trilogy that has raised expectations so high. But the general reaction has been that it fell short. While artistic value is another matter, its popularity is objectively below that of the first two films. A scan on Rotten Tomatoes has it hovering around 65% with either fans or critics. Compare that to the first two Godfather films that never go below 96% with either fans or critics. While there are reasons for this, I am convinced the central one is that of casting. There are so many new faces in this Godfather. Michael's grown children, the bastard son Vincent, Vincent's love interest Grace, the wily Archbishop Gilday, cannoli-eating Don Altabello, a host of other characters I don't care to remember, and of course, Joey. But of all the updates in this Godfather, the one that irritates me the most is not the one that many critics pointed out. That of the director casting his own daughter to play Michael's touching child Mary. It was the decision to replace Robert Duvall's Tom Hagen as the Corleone consigliere with B.J. Harrison. Or more to the point, replacing Robert Duvall with George Hamilton. George Hamilton? Don't get me wrong, Hamilton is suave and charming and he was wonderfully funny in Love at First Bite. But replacing Robert Duvall, or more to the point, the central character of Tom Hagen, gets to the heart as to why so many felt Godfather 3 was not worthy of joining the family. Next to Don Vito Corleone and his son Michael, Tom Hagen is the most significant creation of Godfather author Mario Puzo. A cursory skim of the book shows Tom Hagen's name appearing numerous times, sometimes in detailed passages, with only his last name presented. This also suggests not only how important he is, but how central he is to the story. Though the film modifies the character somewhat, most of what we know about Tom comes straight from the novel. In it, Tom grew up as a New York City street kid of German and Irish heritage.
I'm German-Irish.
Whose parents neglected him to the point that when the Corleone family took him in effect adopting him, they were helping him out. In the novel, it is more explicit. They wound up saving his life, or at least his eyesight, as he needed an operation on his eye. As in the novel, Tom became an attorney who wound up working for his de facto father, Don Vito Corleone, and rose to become his consigliere, his chief advisor, and right-hand man. Of course, the movie does not have enough time to flesh out all the details of Tom's backstory, but director Francis Ford Coppola, working with Mario Puzo, manages to brilliantly cut and condense much of his essence. Rather justly, Coppola and Puzo would twice take the Oscar, in 1973 and 75, for Best Adapted Screenplay. Becoming the consigliere is both an honor and a real plum for Tom Hagen. The novel further elaborates how much this is a real coup for this relatively young man, who is not of Sicilian or even Italian heritage. But both sources identify Tom as a member of the family who never takes his position for granted. It is because he starts out as the outsider who is taken in that he is constantly on the job. He is more than a counselor, legal or otherwise. He is the family's fixer. It's funny because brother Fredo complains in the Godfather II film of being sent out to do errands. But many of Tom's tasks are far from glamorous. Whether it is setting up a United States senator with a dead prostitute, or encouraging a government witness to commit suicide, or signaling the moment to kill someone, Tom is never above the dirty work, or any work for that matter. And this brings up two central aspects of Tom's identity. One, his non-Italian heritage, and two, his key role as the white-collar wing of the family. Because of his background, Tom Hagen is the classic outsider who overcompensates completely. He learns all the manners, morals, and mores of the Corleone family. He speaks fluent Italian. He marries a nice Italian-American girl and dutifully raises his family among them. Above all this, he earns the trust and general respect of others, including adversaries.
Now, what is the interest for the Italian family?
My compliments.
He has a tireless work ethic.
You're not too tired, are you, Tom?
I slept on the plane.
And is always an organized and reliable professional. Yet for all of his success, Tom Hagen remains an outsider because of his ancestry. In the novel, the family is referred to as the Irish Gang, because Hagen serves it at such a high level. In both the novel and the first Godfather film, his heritage and lack of blood ties are brought up every now and then. Hagen understandably is sensitive about this.
You make the deal, Sonny.
You know, it's easy for you to say, Tom. He's not your father.
I was as much a son to him as you are Mike.
The irony here is that while Tom is not a blood relative, he is in so many ways the Don's other son. Traditionally, the focus has been on the three brothers, Santino, aka Sonny, Fredo, and Michael, not daughter Constanzia, aka Connie. Many have noted how each son possesses at least some elements of the father. However, this focus generally overlooks the fact that Tom, beyond being a stepson, has also some of the Godfather's attributes. Like Don Vito, Tom is meticulous, patient, courtly, and charming. Whereas Fredo is too timid, and Sonny and Michael are rather aggressive, Tom presents an affable and engaging manner which makes people want to listen. Michael may have his father's cunning, ruthlessness, and ability to stay calm, but rarely does he charm and delight others.
You were an employee of the Genco Olive Oil Company?
That's right.
But in actuality, you were a member of the Corleone crime organization.
No, we call it the Corleone family, Senator. We call it the family.
While the Corleone family traditionally made its income from criminal activities, the ultimate aim is to become legitimate. Don Vito originally planned a different fate than what befalls his family.
I never wanted this for you. I worked my whole life. I don't apologize to take care of my family, but I thought that when it was your time that you would be the one to hold the strings.
His son Michael at least gives lip service to this aim.
My father's way of doing things is over. It's finished. Even he knows that. I mean, in 5 years, the Corleone family is going to be completely legitimate.
The key tragedy here is that a combination of enemies, unfortunate circumstances, and their own flawed natures prevents this from happening. There is too much at stake to easily give up the old businesses, and too many enemies have emerged to make any such transition a smooth one. Tom Hagen was supposed to be a key part of that transition from gangster rackets to white-collar power. The very fact that Tom studied law, passed the bar, only to work for the Corleone family, shows how important this is. It needs to be understood that this is very different from being a mob boss. In his decision-making, Tom differs from Sonny and Michael because he is more risk-averse, more legalistic, and above all, less warlike than they are.
I'm gonna end it by killing that old bastard.
Yeah, you're getting a great reputation. I hope you're enjoying it.
Well, you just do what I tell you to do. God damn it, if I had a wartime consigliere of Sicilian, I wouldn't be in a shape.
Mike, why am I out?
You're not a wartime consigliere, Tom. Things may get rough with the move we're trying.
This is understandable because of Tom's intense pragmatism. Hagen is in fact behaving in the manner of any careful and cautious corporate chief. He analyzes situations as rationally as possible and always avoids all and any unnecessary problems. Of course, this leads to friction with the other sons, as the gangster way is often to kill or attack first and deal with the mess later. That does not mean that Tom is innocent of the family's sins. Not at all. As the family fixer, he is either an accessory to or privy to the knowledge of numerous felonies. If convicted, he would go to prison for the rest of his life. Yet in true white-collar style, Tom is always a step removed from any foul deed committed. He may enable, assist, and inform the toughs who have to do the dirty work. But his hands are technically clean. There's no blood on his well-tailored shirt. If nothing else, this video should raise people's estimations of Tom Hagen. He is quite simply the most underrated character in the entire Godfather series. He may not have founded the Corleone dynasty, but he clearly is its most consistent and capable administrator. Never as bold as his brothers, Tom might have been, had he been allowed, its most effective Don. Tom always seems to balance the competing pressures of family power and keeping an eye on the future. Although hesitant in being violent, he does endorse aggression if its benefits outweigh the costs. There are two notable examples from the first Godfather film. One is drugs. When the smuggler Sollozzo offers a deal to the Corleone family to join in his heroin smuggling operation, Sonny and Tom both endorse the deal. Sonny does so because he sees a lot of money in it, with far less effort and trouble involved in traditional rackets. Tom, by contrast, values future drug profits, not for living it up large and easy, but to purchase continued power and protection for the Corleone family. I also infer from the novel and the movie that Tom is fully aware of the risks, the downside of entering the drug business.
It doesn't make any difference to me what a man does for a living, you understand? But your business is a little dangerous.
He understood Don Vito's reservations completely, but he sees the future in it. It is one of the few times Hagen speaks up and objects to what Don Vito believes.
Now we have the unions, we have the gambling, and they're the best things to have. But narcotics is a thing of the future. Now, if we don't get a piece of that action, we risk everything we have. I mean, not now, but 10 years from now.
Considering how much the Corleone family suffers fighting Sollozzo, I'd argue Tom is proven right. The other example was when Tom comes around to endorsing Michael's proposition that he kills Sollozzo and the police captain McCluskey. Sonny, Clemenza, and Tessio openly mock Michael. Tom coolly assesses and sets out the risks, and yet he listens to Michael and his arguments. Once convinced, Tom is the first to entertain this boldest of plans. In a world of dramatic flourishes and smoke and mirrors, it is often harder to see the figure just off to the side. Tom Hagen is that barely noticeable somebody who keeps the family business running. Over time, Tom's relationship with Michael does become especially tense, and that deserves a video of its own. But nevertheless, Michael needs Tom, and Tom needs the family that has earned his diligence, his talents, and his loyalty. Never acknowledged as a Corleone, Tom Hagen nevertheless is its most consistent member. Next to Don Vito, no one has given as much to the organization, not even Michael. He may have no role in the third Godfather film, but his absence there will always resonate with fans. He more than paid back the family who took him in.